C.O.P.S. File 000, the case of the terrible tariffs, continued. The C.O.P.S franchise from the 80s was ready to return as 3 3/4-inch figures from Chicken Fried Toys when 145% tariffs were put on Chinese goods imported into America, and the first figure, Marshall Sundown, was still in China. And so, like most goods coming from China to America, it was stopped. But since then, there has been a temporary agreement while negotiations are going on to reduce the tariffs to 30%. Here's how the case continued. So the very good news that I have is that Chicken Fried Toys on Facebook announced that they are going to be shipping Marshall Sundown from China. And so he is going to be on his way. And so does that mean that we can close the case of the terrible tariffs? Unfortunately, no. The case remains open. They're basically taking a gamble here. They're rolling the dice, hoping that the tariffs are still at that relatively lower 30% when he gets here. And even then, they're probably still taking a loss. And so once Marshall Sundown gets to America and they have him in stock, they're going to increase the price of the figure to $35. Right now, if you pre-order him, you can get him for $30. So if you want him at that lower price, you need to go ahead and pre-order him right now, because they're going to have to go up a little bit when he gets here because of the tariffs. And if Marshall Sundown sells well, they do have plans to do an entire line of figures. They've already announced what they plan to do in the first wave. You can check that out in my previous videos. But it's also contingent on tariffs not shooting up again so they can actually import the figures that they create. For those who want a 6 or 7 inch figure on that 1/12 scale, Fresh Monkey Fiction has previously announced a plan to do a line of C.O.P.S figures like that, starting with a new bulletproof, but we haven't heard anything since then. Like I talked about in a previous video, Fresh Monkey Fiction did cancel a Kickstarter for the second wave of their long box heroes, which would have included a Tarzan figure and probably a John Carter of Mars figure as stretch goals. And they cited the higher cost of tariffs as being the reason for the cancellation. But I did see they have pre-orders available for new figures in their Naughty or Nice collection on Big Bad Toy Store. So, even with all of this uncertainty, they still have to keep going and make money somehow and just hope for the best. And so I don't know if they'd want to try that with Bulletproof or if they'd want to wait. One thing is for certain, toys are going to cost more. Even toys that are manufactured in Vietnam, like Masters of the Universe, which are currently under a temporary 10% tariff while negotiations are going on, they still have a disclaimer on those listings on Big Bad Toy Store telling us that there will be a tariff surcharge because, first of all, they don't know what the tariff is going to be on goods from Vietnam when that thing ships. And even if it's 10%, they still got to pay it, and so that's going to get passed on to the consumer. So I'm glad in the middle of all of this uncertainty that we do have one ray of sunshine in the fact that we are getting the Marshall Sundown figure. And again, if you want him at that lower $30 price, go ahead and pre-order him right now because, again, once he gets here, they're going to raise that price to $35. And I hope this situation with the tariffs gets resolved, and I hope everything works out for our independent toy companies because, man, I want a Tarzan figure. I want those new Conan figures that are up for pre-order from Boss Fight Studio, and I want the return of C.O.P.S. All right, like and subscribe for more videos, and until next time, case continued.